Happy Devils Sunday. This is the Let's Go Devils podcast. The original three back on. The three amigos. As Scotty is out on assignment, really at a show somewhere out west.
Doing his job.
Yeah.
His real job.
Yeah.
Getting paid.
His real job.
Getting paid on a Sunday night. Beer Baron, wouldn't that be nice?
Oh, man.
Yeah, it would be nice.
It would be nice.
Streaming live on Facebook Live, Twitter Live, YouTube Live, Twitch, on the Let's Go Devils Network, coming to you live from the Primetime Radio Studios in the beautiful bunker in New Jersey, in an undisclosed location on the mountaintop where the view is very nice. Hello, gentlemen. We got a big guest tonight. People can't believe it that Chico Resch will be on, our good friend of the podcast.
Yeah.
He has something to say.
I got a lot of things to say. I'm very excited to have a conversation about the end of the season and how it went. It's always fun to talk to Chico. It's always a good conversation.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what he has to say.
Yeah. Yeah, which is the title today is the New Jersey Devils' last line of defense. I'm assuming we're going to be talking about goalies because that's been like the talk. Been the talk the last couple weeks. We got Chico Resch, coming on. We got Shorts guy.
We are talking about one of the goaltending legends of the New Jersey Devils with Chico Resch, and I know when he's on, I like to try to pretend that I was once a good goaltender as well, and I'm part of that union. But it's always just good to kind of pick his brain, because the one thing that I'm always amazed with Chico is just his memory for how plays unfold and how things happen. It's incredible. And he can just give you such detail. It's more so just the detail he can give you in anything he explains about any player. It's fantastic. So it's always just such a good conversation. And it's also, I feel like it's been a really long while since we've had any call in or Zoom in or whatever guest on the big show.
Yeah. Hi, Ted.
Out of nowhere.
Hi, Ro. Hi, Felix. Hi, Sam. Shorts guy. Oh, yeah, and crew. Yeah, dude, it's exciting. It's kind of a bummer, like watching the Eastern Conference Finals, which have been two really, really exciting games.
Yeah.
Which you kind of had a feeling going into it. Florida and Carolina match up so well, and the two teams have just been battling it out, and it's been so much fun to watch. And a game-winning goal by Matthew Tkachuk in both games. I mean, one game going to 4 overtimes, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
And then the other one, I wonder if there was this fan that had, tickets to both games where as soon as the game was announced, or, as soon as it was going down to the wire, and it was going to overtime, and must have had PTSD of oh my God, not another, a 4 overtime game.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it was one of those things when you had that power play in the beginning of that overtime, you're kind of I kind of have a feeling about this one. And that passing play in front of the net, that's just it's unfair from the goaltender's point of view. It's just unfair when you have that type of passing play right in front of you. When you go left to right. It's just it's so stupid. But you know what? Credit to Tkachuk. He was able to put it home in that situation and win the game for his team and move go back home to Florida with a 2-game lead. So. It's been a fun series to watch, and not for nothing. I don't know about your Beer Baron, but it's kind of been like a stress-free series to watch.
And here's a very interesting fact, and I wonder if this has ever happened before. All 4 games so far in Eastern and Western Conference Finals have gone to overtime. And that's I don't know if that's ever happened. I don't know if that's ever been a thing, but it'd be kind of a cool streak if they kept it going. But that's pretty wild.
Yeah, so I wasn't able to watch any much. Actually, I was not able to watch any of today's game, so I didn't see how it unfolded at all. But yeah, I saw that it did end in overtime, and didn't Vegas tie it up late in the third period too?
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I didn't watch the game today. I didn't realize it was an earlier game. I just looked at the score right now.
Yeah, I do believe they tied it up. I do believe they tied it up late in the game. Yeah, they may have tied it up with like 2 minutes and 22 seconds left in the game, and then went on to win it in overtime. So,
Shorts guy, why
I'm,
struggle when you can just ask the YouTube live what happened, and then you just
yeah,
read
I
off
know,
what they,
but
that's what I do.
yeah, but Sam, you got to. So you're making the assumption that my internet can handle me being here on the podcast and having something open at the same time that I can,
Oh, I forgot.
interact with people. Yeah, exactly. I have Jim Dolan internet, and he hates me because I'm a Devils fan, and he's mad that
That's 100% true.
and he's mad that his beautiful arena was blown up in the 1998 Godzilla movie, which is one of the worst ones ever, but had one of the best scenes of all time. If you're a Devils fan,
yeah, dude. JP, let's go Heat. All right. That's your thing.
By the way, I just a couple people asked. Sorry, there was no morning woo this weekend. What tends to happen is I start my day, and I'm about to do it, and then I get distracted, and then before you know it, it's 4:00, and then I'm watching TV, and then I said, it's close enough to 9. We're gonna have Chico on.
That's more the Sam Wu I know.
Yeah,
that's a Sam Wu I've known for years.
We're in the off season right now. I could get away with it.
Yeah, you can.
To answer Dennis's question, that is a good question. Why Akira and Timo did not go to the
IHF.
Team Switzerland, the IIHF. I would assume it's because Timo is still dealing with that broken nose, and then Akira, I don't know. Maybe he just wanted to rest.
Signing autographs. Sports-minded.
Yeah, buddy.
Maybe he has that commitment.
Sports-minded.
It's possible. I don't even know who Switzerland has in net for them in this tournament.
Well, they got Siegenthaler out there and Nico Hischier.
Yeah, maybe Akira was not tapped to play in that tournament. Maybe he wasn't approached. Just because he can doesn't mean he was asked. As much as we love what he did for us, it doesn't mean that he was on the roster for Team Switzerland. There could be a whole host of reasons, and maybe Timo just didn't want to do it too. So it's who knows. But I know Nico has been a really big proponent about playing internationally, and it's good to see him and Siegenthaler going out there and doing that. And I really wish that here in America that there was more of a desire of American players to want to go, like the big name American players, to go play in these international tournaments, because I think it would be great, just for the competition aspect and just for the pride of playing for your nation, wearing the US of A on the front of your jersey in the red, white, and blue. But all these tournaments happen to be at like the absolute worst times, either during playoff time here in the NHL or sometimes in September. So it's one of those things where it just doesn't really work with our National League schedule.
Yeah, it's very true. I still think if they did like a little mid-season tournament, and if they did just kind of like, like when the Olympics come in to the NHL season, like a lot of people complain like, oh, it disrupts the season so much. I feel the opposite. I feel like it brings that excitement to the middle of the season, and then you have that stretch run, into the playoffs. You just hope that nobody gets injured while they're doing it. I mean, that's the biggest proponent of not wanting to do it during the seasons, because you don't want one of your best players going out there and getting injured in an international tournament, which to some guys means more than the NHL. To some guys it means less, but it's fun to watch either way. I mean, it's fun to see what they're doing. It's fun to see what Nico's doing. It's fun to see them represent their country and doing a hell of a job too.
Yeah, I mean, just look what soccer does. And if you put the tournament in the right time of the year, then you're going to get all the best players. And, maybe they put these international tournaments during these times because they know that the Americans are more so probably the Canadians. But, if the Canadians are going to be more wrapped up with the NHL playoffs, they're not going to send a strong team. But still, it's just, it would be great to see more of the big name players involved in these international tournaments, because international play to me is just such a great part of sports. I mean, everyone does, like you were saying, everyone loves the Olympics. Everyone loves the Olympic tournament. If it was like and I believe the World Cup of hockey, they're trying to figure out how to do it kind of like World Cup of soccer, where it's every so many years and it's in a good time, so that we can all so we can have really strong teams that are being sent to this tournament.
God bless
Yeah,
you.
no, I agree. Thank you very much. Yeah, I hit the mic right before it hit me.
Oh, you did a great job. I'm
Yep, good
impressed.
job.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
My allergies are killing me. I mowed my lawn today, so my allergies are definitely on extra right now. I can't remember how long ago. I think it was Austin Matthews' rookie year where it was like North America versus Europe versus like the rookie class or something. Like they remember how they like broke it out. I don't remember exactly what the teams were, but I know like they had like a North American team.
Mhm.
And
remember
like they
that,
just
yeah.
bunched a lot of the teams together instead of having like individual countries. And some people at first were like freaking out about it and saying like, oh, they hated it. But I thought it was kind of a cool idea, like to have, if you were to go back to something like that where you have all the countries and then you have like an all rookie team or something like that. That'd be kind of fun to watch.
It would be, and it's just it's just a way for these players to put their skills on display in a whole other type of situation that it's not just for their team. Yeah, it's something, but at the same time, you want the tournament to mean something too. You don't want these guys that are just going to go out there and turn it into kind of like an all-star game where they're just kind of like there going through the motions. Like you want it to mean something too.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah. Sam, quick question for you, bud.
What's up?
So, if the Devils were playing, I was trying to figure this out today. Maybe you would know this question. If the Devils made it into the Eastern Conference Finals and made it into the Stanley Cup Finals, when would the last Stanley Cup game be played?
Oh,
I guess it doesn't matter if the Devils are in or not, but
I like to say June 13th, but I could be wrong.
is it mid-June? So it wouldn't have been late June.
No,
It's mid-June. Yeah, it's mid-June. It's not like the lockout year where the Devils won the Cup on June 24th in 1995.
Okay.
Not that I remember that for a specific reason or anything, but
wow, wow.
I don't remember much, but I remember that date.
Just remember, June 10th, 2000 Stanley Cup. That was Game 6, and then Game 7 was June 9th. Grant Marshall's birthday. Back in the olden days.
I only remember 95. Back in the good old days.
But I think we started a week later than normal this season. Like when I mean normal is like maybe 2019 normal.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that stays that way. I hope it does, because I'm waiting for the NHL schedule to come out because there's a wedding that I have to go to, and I'm like, that's opening night around that day.
I'm waiting.
I'm waiting
for the schedule to come out so I can plan my trip to go back to the Mullet.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah.
We got to get.
I'm going.
Are they?
Back.
Is Arizona definitely playing in the Mullet one more year and then that's it, right? Then they're
I believe
SOL.
they are. I believe they are at least one more year at the Mullet. So Beer Baron, that means you have to come out to the Mullet this year, because I'll tell you what, that was such a damn good time when we went out to Arizona. You have to come out. I'm really kind of hoping
I
would love
to do that.
I'm really hoping that I look at the schedule and it shows that the Devils are playing Arizona on a weekend, and I'll be like, oh, there we go. That's what we're doing.
You go.
But as much as I would love to see the Devils play out there, I had a really good time just pulling for Arizona. Just being there, pulling for Arizona, just yelling at anyone that was from Vegas or anyone that was playing for Vegas. It was just such a good time. I mean, ask the Hockey on Tap guys. I was the hit of our section. Everyone loved me and loved being around me at that game. It was so stupid. Apparently, I was playing drums that I have no recollection of doing, but when you have a beer or two, that happens.
Yeah, that definitely happens. The little air drums is going to definitely come breaking out at some point.
Oh no, it was not air drums. It was real drums. Apparently.
Oh, all right. Just like banging on people's heads.
They had a drum section.
By the way,
it was great.
Oh my God, Max, we are going to try to ask that question to Chico, because I don't think either of us know the answer to that question of if Akira Schmid was hurt or ended up getting hurt in the playoffs there. You know what? If that's the case, there's that last game he played a hell of a game. Losing in overtime, that was a heartbreaker. But I mean, you just look at the series that's going on now, and you look at what the Devils have and what they need to get. I think defensively they need maybe one or two more pieces defensively. But there's going to be a lot of change. There's going to be a lot of different pieces in there automatically because of Luke and Nemec. So who knows if they're going to jump in? Who knows if Nemec is going to jump in right away? I think Luke kind of sealed his deal. I think he's going to start out of camp unless he has like a terrible camp, or they're looking at it and Lindy says, maybe he needs to develop a little bit more in the AHL, and it kind of give him the swinging door process where they just bring him up for the first couple of games and send him down, let him get more time down there.
There's nothing wrong with that either. I mean, if someone needs a little bit more work down in the AHL, there's really nothing wrong with that. So it's one of those things where if he has to have that open door policy, then let him, because if it's going to be the best for his development, then that's what you want. You want him to develop the best that he can.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, what's going to happen, though, is if he gets sent down, people are going to freak out, and that's just a given. There's going to be a bunch of people that are going to lose their minds. They're going to be like, this is stupid, blah, blah, blah. But what people don't realize is, you look at what Alexander Holtz, the situation with him, right? You didn't want him sitting up in the press box game after game after game and not getting ice time. So to send him back down to the AHL and let him get that time is more valuable than him watching a game from up top. What's up, Sam?
Hey, Sam.
What's up? Hopefully Chico got 9:15 p.m. Eastern, because he's in Central Time right now. So we may have to extend this for another hour.
We were talking about that pre-show that we were going to potentially have a very long podcast anyway. So, hey, we're about to find out.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for Chico to give us a call back. But he's a busy guy. He's back home right now.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's not like any of the three of us have problems talking. I mean, we've done it for how many years on this podcast?
I got a question for you guys.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Tkachuk. He's having a great...
Still wish we would have gotten him.
I
wish we would have gotten him.
Now, I got some crap a little bit for tossing Jesper Bratt's name last offseason for a possible trade, because it was gonna take a lot.
Same.
Mm-hmm.
And would you do it straight up or package a first rounder, maybe some assets over? But Calgary wanted players that were NHL All-Star ready. They wanted some. They weren't waiting for a rebuild. That's why that deal didn't happen. But would you trade Bratt and others?
Yes.
It would.
Me too.
I mean, look at what he's doing, dude. Look at what he's doing. He's an absolute monster. 100% yes.
Well, that's the thing, though. Right now, with him being an absolute monster, it would now take so much to pry him away from Florida, and I think he loves Florida where he is right now. So it would take a whole heck of a lot. At this point, with the way he's playing with him, I don't want basically guaranteeing they were going to make it to the playoffs. In a sense, when it was, coming down to the business end of the season, and what he's done so far, especially in the last two games, if you were to go and try to pry him away from Florida, they would ask you for it would be significant.
It would be like, give us Luke, give us Nico, give us, and it wouldn't be off. It wouldn't be too far off. Yeah.
No, it would be something stupid that they would ask for, and it's like at that point, it's like, no, asking price is too high. I mean, I would love to have him on the team so he's not going after Jack like in All-Star games.
Yeah.
That was his brother.
Oh, that's right. It was his brother. Yeah, well.
Maybe we could go after his brother.
No.
Maybe we could go after his brother.
Yeah. Matthew was going after Nico. He was going after the captain.
That's right. That's
yes.
right. Yes.
Dude, I don't know, man. Like I said it last year in the offseason as well, Sam, and I remember, we caught a lot of heat for that. Is we wanted to give up Jesper Bratt, and a lot of people were saying, like, why would you give up Jesper Bratt? And I said, because Matthew Tkachuk provides the size, grit, talent, everything that this team actually needs. He's not going to slow down Jack. He's not going to be a detriment to, like, being on a top line. He's just going to be able to, like, fit in that piece that this team desperately needs. And I think they got a lot of that when they got Timo Meier. And we talked about it last time, that if you're going to choose between Bratt and Timo, I think it's a no-brainer that if you have to choose between Bratt and Timo, I think it's a no-brainer. But my question is, and I can't remember off the top of my head, is Bratter, is he a UFA or is he a An RFA.
RFA.
He's an RFA, so they
RFA.
could trade him. They could trade him. I mean, that's a very big possibility. So
he's got value right now. He's got a
lot of value.
Yeah.
He's coming off 2 really, really solid seasons. I mean, his playoff performance was not really that good, but his regular season, both back-to-back, were really, really solid, over 70 points. I mean, he's got a lot of value to him. So two scenarios I wouldn't be shocked at seeing. Would they flip him for a first-round pick, and would you guys be okay with that? Or would they flip him for a more established either goaltender like a Hellebuck or a more established defenseman? So maybe that's 3 scenarios. I can't count, but whatever.
I would go for the first rounder. That's just me.
Yeah, because you save money. You save a ton of money.
Well, that and plus Hellebuck has 1 more year left on his deal. Plus he's over 30 at this point.
He's 29. Well, he would be. Yeah, he would be over 30 at that point because he's 29 now.
Yeah. So that's just, again, my opinion. Of course, it's not. But really, if you trade Bratt, all you're really losing in the grand scheme of things, other than he's a great player, a 6-rounder, flipping a 6-rounder for a future first, if you could pull that one off for the future, where you got that many great years out of Bratt, and then you flip for another first-rounder.
Could you flip him for a first rounder within the top 10? Definitely not the top 3.
No,
there's no way anybody.
I don't think anyone's stupid enough to do that. Top 10 is big in this draft.
Top 10 this year is really big.
It would be a package, Bratt. I don't know who you would throw in there.
Yeah, for top 10, it would Bratt and Mac Black, maybe someone who needs a goalie.
Yeah, but Mac Black is also a UFA, if I'm not mistaken. So he's
an RFA.
He's an RFA too. You sure about that?
I'm going to send you a graphic.
Who are the UFAs? It's Holla, Wood.
I'm going to send you a graphic.
Is that what you're looking up?
Again, I'm sending you an infographic right now, Beer Baron.
Ooh, infographic.
Oh, yes.
For those that have trouble reading, like Beer Baron and myself.
Yes,
that's true. Colors and shapes. I got it.
There you go.
Finger painting. It's all about finger painting.
There you go.
This is a Saison.
So I sent to the group text. Yeah.
Hey, there we go.
From NHL Network.
Ta, Wood, Holla, Severson, and Graves are all UFAs. Meyer, Bratt, Sharangovich, McLeod, Boquist, Bastion, Ball, and Blackwood are RFAs. Okay. So with an RFA, you have to make a qualifying offer, but they don't necessarily have to take it. Is that correct?
Yeah, they can go to arbitration. Like what Bratt did last year.
You don't want to go there.
No, I mean, Bratt did that last year. 1 year.
Gomer used to do that all the time.
No, I don't think Bratt went to arbitration. I think they were about to, but that got canceled. I thought they.
And then he signed the 1 year, something like that.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's right. Yeah.
Well, let's see.
Well, if you take Bratt to arbitration, I'd be arguing, well, you didn't show up in the playoffs.
That's
a huge argument, even though people might not think so.
It is. No, it really is a huge argument. Like, he did well in the regular season, but when it came to when it really mattered in the playoffs, he didn't show up. He had an empty net goal, and he kept blowing a tire every time he went to go, cut left and right. So there's something up with his skates. But
and then he'll argue, I back-checked. The entire time.
He didn't have a terrible series, but he just was not really effective offensively.
No, and it's an argument to be made as far as his value in the playoffs and what is value. But regardless of what it is, he's a really great player, and someone's going to want to pay him if we don't. So that's one of those things to where it's gotta work. And you brought up that point, like, who would you rather keep? I would rather keep both Bratt and Meyer. But if you had to make a choice, like, who would you make? And it's hard to say that you would take Bratt over Meyer in this case, especially for. I feel like we did give up a decent amount just to get him here at the deadline.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that he can really do well here, and he's going to want to do well here. But that's one of those decisions that is going to have to be made this summer, and I'm glad I'm not making that decision. I'm not paid enough.
I'll make the decision.
Seriously.
Of course you will, Sam.
Of course. I've got opinion all the time. That's why we
We
have this
know.
podcast. All righty. So he's a great friend of the podcast. Last time we saw him, he was on the big stage with Jonathan and I for Game 4. Love his insights. From the Devils Hockey Network, Chico Resch. Chico, you're on with Sam, Scott, and John. How are you?
Well, very good, guys. Yeah, that was our last time together. Who would have thought that it was going to go up like it did? I still think we are as good as Carolina. You're seeing it now where they're switching goalies. I mean, the biggest difference was their defense was just awesome against us. You know, and they wouldn't let us score. And it was really frustrating, but it's just too bad because I think we were as good in some areas, but give them credit. They played well too.
So Chico, going into this year, I know you said who would have thought, did you have expectations that this team was ready to make a playoff push and actually get into the second round? Or was this a big surprise to you?
Well, I think we were all a little surprised, guys. But as the year went on, and you look at who's playing now, don't get me wrong. With the salary cap, all teams, I heard you guys talking about, all teams are going to give 4 or 5 guys the big money. Let's say 8 to 12,000. I mean, 12 million, 8 to 11. I think Panarin was making 11.5 mil. Didn't score a goal in the playoffs, but that's another story. So my point is, I look at the teams and did you think Alex Lyon is going to get, Florida in the playoffs, and then Sergei Bobrovsky, who's been really funny money, he has not earned his money, is going to be so lights out, they're not going to be able to score on him. And then Kachuk, who came from Calgary, is just magical. So my point is, I was surprised when the season started, but after it started to unfold, then I guess I thought, well, why not us? We've got a good bunch of guys. And then when Vitek Vanacek started to play as well as he did, and he was lights out, then I knew we had something special going. I really did. And it's easy to say now, but what were we, third best overall? Third most points?
Yeah, third most points in the East, yeah.
So, I think we're all surprised, but then why not us? The way the salary cap is, the way, the drafting is, we got some really nice picks in the draft. So, yeah, I was surprised, but as I think back now, I shouldn't have been probably as surprised as I was, or maybe you guys too, but once we got there, my goodness, I really thought we had at least as good a team as Carolina, maybe the edge, but and it was close. I mean, Jack getting hurt for the last game and having take a couple shots shows a lot about how badly he wants to win, and that didn't help us either, the fact that he was hurt. So, yeah, no, I think it's nothing. I mean, it's going to be 10 great years for you guys, I think, in New Jersey, and all the fans. You guys felt it out in the plaza there. Playoffs are fun. Yes, they are.
Oh, absolutely. Chico, it's Jonathan. Good to have you on again.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Vanacek was definitely I want to say we were all shocked, and I don't want to say shocked, but we were all thrilled with his performance. But you have a little bit more insight and see some practices where more than we can. But were you more surprised at his play or the emergence of Akira Schmid during the season?
Well, that's a good question, Jonathan. Okay, if I said to people down in Florida who's watched Bobrovsky for 3 years. Are you surprised? You surprised how well he's playing? Well, I hope they'd say yes. Okay. Let's see. Vasilevsky. He's really good, right? Yeah, but they lost out in the first round. Shesterkin, like he's a great goalie. Yeah, they lost out in the first round. My point is, you guys, and I think you all recognize it, because of the high quality scoring chances. You saw the power play goal that Tkachuk scored. It was last night, all alone in front after cross ice pass back to him. How can the goalies be lights out when they're getting that many great scoring chances? So I was surprised I didn't know VTech. I'll tell you, the only thing, maybe we couldn't have, this could be a point of discussion. I just maybe wish we would have said to one of the goalies, "You're our guy." You know, and VTech, obviously, because he was there all year, and just said, "Look, you played great all year. Da-da-da-da-da-da. You could have a bad game or two, but we're going to stick with you." But then, you know, Schmid played well too. So I don't know. Goaltending to me, you guys, it really is a whole new world from what it was 5-6 years ago.
Yeah. Speaking of goaltender, oh, sorry, go ahead, John.
Chico, I was going to say, you before you came on, we were talking about that goal last night, that power play goal to end the game, and it's just like, you know, you've been in net, and you know, it's like that type of passing play in front of you is just sometimes just so unfair as the goalie. It's like, where do I go? And it went in the goal.
Well, exactly. That's where it's going to end up. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, Marty Brodeur was a great goalie, but let's be honest. He wasn't getting 10, 12 cross ice backdoor. Like last night, Slavin loses a stick in the corner. That doesn't help. I don't know why 2D were there, but there was remember the first two games against the Rangers. Fox gets the puck on the point, and he's got nothing but an easy passing lane to Kreider. And I give Chris credit. He tipped home 4 really nice goals, 2 with his foot, 2 with his stick. But I'm saying, if you're going to give those kind of scoring chances up, I don't know where you can put the blame on the goalies. And I just wish whatever happened against Carolina, and I don't even know, was our defense that loose? I don't know what happened. We gave up a ton of goals, but I don't know. I really can't say why. I don't know. It was the difference.
Yeah.
So.
And speaking of the goalies, and we have a fan, our good buddy Max, wanted to ask this question. Do you have any insight of why Akira didn't go to the Worlds, or if he was injured at the end of the playoffs, or is there any possible injury that could have happened?
No, it was not an injury. I looked at that. You know, those national teams, you know, Akira wasn't maybe checked in, logged in to be the guy. Then, you know, those nationals, they like the NHL guys, and especially if they can be a difference maker, but they also have their league back in whichever country they're from, and they're trying to give those guys some kudos, and, you know, they're trying to give them some incentive, you know, to play. Maybe the guys on the Swiss goalies situation were promised they'd be there. I don't know, but and it was really nice that the Devils were so honest, and Jack was honest that, you know, he'd really hurt his shoulder on that hit by I don't know, it was Slavin. I don't know who crunched him at home there one game, but no, Schmid. I like Schmid. Remember, he left early. He didn't really go through the Swiss hockey, what was it, proving ground. You know, remember he came over to Canada. So I'm not saying they're holding a vendetta against him. I just think they're probably giving their local guys a chance to play more than he. But I like him. There's all 3 goalies. I just think we got 3 really good goalies. It looks like McKenzie will be traded, probably, along with a few other guys, which you have to do. But I do not think our goaltending is anything that I'm even remotely worried about anymore.
That's a great thing to say.
Yeah.
That's a great thing to feel.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially after last season. Oh my gosh. And that was actually going to be another question That was going to be another question we were going to ask about what you thought was going to be the future of Mackenzie Blackwood, because I know watching him, there are some games you look at him, he's like, wow, this guy's just lights out. And some games it's, you know, you
Yeah.
kind of wonder what he's doing in his decision making process. But he's battling against obviously injuries, but he's got two really solid goalies that are playing good in front of him.
Well, exactly, guys. Like I say, okay, Shesterkin. Oh yeah, we got to have him. Yeah, because we'll go right to the finals. No, you lost out in the first round. Okay, you know what I mean?
To the
Like,
New Jersey
that's
Devils,
the
no
only
less.
rule. Huh?
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, they lost in the first round to the Devils. That's the best part about it.
Well, that's right. And Vasilevsky. Okay, they lost to Toronto. Who was the goalie that beat him? Samsonov, who got shipped out of Washington because they wanted Kemper. Same thing with Vitek Vanacek. Oh, let's see. They didn't even make the playoffs. Let's Gorgiev in Denver. Oh yeah, they're gonna. No, they didn't go. I'm just saying, you guys, like, you could help me. It is so hard to evaluate. I think what people really got to do is look at how well the defense is playing defensively. To me, those are the guys that are protecting the goalies. And this year, I thought our defense, the Devils' defense, was 3 times better than they were last year. But there's a lot of reasons.
Yeah, and that also poses another question, because they have 2 defensemen that are unrestricted free agents, and are they going to be bringing either Graves or Severson back, and are they going to give Luke and Nemec a real shot next year? So the defensive core, you can imagine, is going to be very different next year.
Oh, it will be, in those 2. But don't get me wrong. I know I get on, like, we all have favorites. I love Kevin Ball. Kevin Ball.
Oh, yeah.
He did so well. He did. I'll just say, I didn't see him deserving to be benched. But I get also the coaching staff. They had some really tough decisions. We couldn't score goals. Like, Carolina, they were the highest scoring defensive team in the National Hockey League in terms of goals. And if you look at how many goals their defensemen scored in the series against us and how many ours did, you see that they were much more involved. Okay, so I get that. So I know that we wanted to play Luke Hughes because we thought there's offense there. And so I get the tough decisions the coaching staff made, but I'm telling you, if you got Luke and Nemec, it's funny, Craig Ramsey, he's the coach of the Slovakian team. Maybe you guys knew that. And Nemec is playing there now. And I saw his quote during the World Championships early. He said, I really like that kid. And the kid said he liked, playing for Craig. He says, but he said, he's got to understand when to try some risky situations and when not to. I want him to be safer. Now, that's Craig Ramsey. I don't know. It just jumped out at me because I hadn't seen those quotes. And Craig liked him, but I haven't seen Nemec. But I think he's second. What is he, second overall? Was he second or fourth?
Yeah,
fourth.
Second.
Yeah.
Luke was fourth. He was second.
Yeah. You got to give him a shot. And then if you've already played Luke Hughes, you got to play him. And then there's 2 more spots. And I think Kevin Ball is going to be a rock solid. He's telling me in the playoffs there, we were talking how disappointed he was getting set out, but what he had learned and just the thought process of being tougher in front of the net, how to block people out, how to move the puck. And so the thing with coaches, you guys, it doesn't matter who it is. What they say isn't what is actually always happening. I mean, and I get it. You could say somebody's not playing well, we had to bench him, but that doesn't really mean he wasn't playing that well. It's just they really needed to get this other guy in, if you know what I mean. And I get it. Coaches are under a lot of pressure, and there's so many media people in the playoffs jumping on them. But no, I don't know how you guys felt, Do you guys feel that Dougie Hamilton was what you expected in the playoffs, was a little less or a little more of what you thought you were going to get in the playoffs? What would you guys say?
Well, knowing that he had an injury after the fact, it kind of explained it. But I guess in that second round, a little less. I thought in the Rangers series he played pretty well, but you could tell there was something off in his game in that second series. I don't know, John, if you felt the same, but
I could have thought maybe he would want to play a little bit harder against Carolina, having coming from there and going back there for that series. It was he definitely played a little bit less than expected in that series. I thought he played great against the Rangers, but Scott, like you said, like Scotty said, it's he was injured, and these are the things we find out after the fact. But it just, it seemed like that it was a bit of a letdown in round 2 from him.
Well, I think you guys are right, and I'm not knocking. I mean, well, I guess it's a bit of a criticism. I have no problem when you're making $9 million and so forth, and you got to play with the injuries. No, I'm just saying, because the truth of the matter is, if the Devils don't have a go-to defenseman, okay, let's say we don't, we're not going to win. Like you saw McConnell had that, and the championship teams have that, one or two guys. That's all I'm saying is who's going to step up next year? Okay, we're going to have let's say we have a better year next year, and we're hoping we are. But then we come to the playoffs again. We're going to need the defense to somebody to step up offensively, because they're shutting down the forwards at times really well. So that was my only observation. Was I just think Carolina's defense, especially Brent Burns, was on a roll. Like he was obsessed.
Oh God, he's a monster.
Yeah, he's the first one I thought about.
Yeah. Well, he knows it's it's probably his last shot, one of his last shots, and he was taking it, and Pesci scored a couple on us, and I don't know if Shea got one. I think he did, but anyway, that was my only thought. Was I just wish we would have got a little more oomph, a little more offense from the defense to help our forward. But it didn't happen, and so now we got to hope for next year.
Well, could there be a possible trade, or is there anybody that you would like to see the Devils try to target defensively in the offseason?
Well, I mean, it's so hard. You guys look around, and Vegas has a nice core of defense. They spend a lot of money on Pietrangelo, and 3 or 4 other guys are solid, and we got good solid players. I'm not saying that. But, I'm just trying to think. Carolina still has their defense. I'm trying to think with Florida. I know Tkachuk is driving the bus there, because he is. Did you see when he scored the OT too? He didn't want to celebrate on the ice. He wanted to go on the
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was all about, but do they have a defenseman? Well, they have. Is it Monitor?
They have Gudas. They have that goon Gudas playing for him.
Well, yeah, but he's effective. But who's the defenseman?
He is.
They've had a defenseman that's played really well, scoring goals.
I'm trying to think about it. I'm looking up their roster now, because nothing is jumping into my head here.
No, I get him mixed up. The defenseman starts with an M.
Oh boy,
I'm looking it up now. There's Gudas. Blah 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 blah. Blah, blah, blah. I'm looking now. Mahora. Oh, Montour.
Montour.
Is it
and you look what he's
Montour.
done. Yeah, Montour. I'm just saying we needed somebody to step up, and we didn't get it. And so, but as a matter of making a trade, I mean, here's the thing. I heard you guys talking. Timo Meier likes it here. He and Nico have a lot of history. I think he wants to be here. And you do your own polls, and I'd say if you could keep Meyer or Bratt, you could only keep one of them. Who are you going to keep? Right? You ask people that. You know what they're choosing.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. And I like Jesper. I don't know what happened to him in the playoffs. I don't know if he was so conscious of his contract. I don't know. I really like the kid, but he just didn't have any of a much. Well, he didn't have any input, but so I don't know. It's a good question, you guys. You know, you look at the Rangers. Their big boys scored early, but then Zibanejad, he didn't do anything till late in the series. It was too late, and Panarin didn't do anything at all. And I want even like Austin Matthews for Toronto when they needed him, and I'm trying to figure out why. You know, but they're humans, and I forget that part. That you know they're gonna go on rolls, and then they're gonna fall back, and when they lose the feel, the touch, the belief, they don't think good things are gonna happen. Maybe I don't know, but it's a mystery why you pay people that much money, players, and you think, well, they're going to come through in the playoffs. That's why we're paying them. But you know, we've seen that that's not always the case.
Yeah, and that's one of the big mysteries is, you know, I mean, you bring up Toronto and their big players. I don't think any of their big players scored a single goal in that second round.
Well, Nylander did, because the one against it went off the shin pad of the referee right to him in front of the net. He hadn't scored a goal, and he got that one, and then I think he got one other. But Tavares, no, he didn't do anything, and Austin Matthews, nothing, and you know there was their core of four. Those were the guys making the big bucks, and I think it cost the general manager his job.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it cost Gerard Gallant his job.
100%. That too, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. You know, and Devils had something to do with that as well.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what's. They just fired Jim Ramsey, the medical guy, who's really good. The medical man who's been there since '94.
Yeah.
That's strange.
Sometimes you look at the decisions that they make across the river, and you're like, "What are you doing?" Sometimes it's just a head scratcher.
Do you think the pressures? I guess there would be more pressure on them, don't you think?
100%.
It's you know, New York's one of the biggest, you know, markets in the world, you know, let alone just the U.S. and they want to succeed. But it seems like, and I know you and I talked about this one of the podcasts we had outside. It's like that the Rangers were just a collection of superstars that were in a team, and they were defeated by a team, and that's exactly what we were, and that was really kind of the beauty of it. Is they tried to collect all these, you know, big pieces at the trade deadline, and it just never panned out. And that's part of the beauty of hockey is you can start collecting all these great players, but it doesn't always work.
No, that's a good point, and a lot of times it doesn't work. Yeah, you know, Rangers are special. Can you imagine if what's going on with the Islanders was happening in New York? They wouldn't be standing for it, you know. So we get cut a little slack in New Jersey and Long Island. We get to breathe a little easier, but it was sure nice to beat the Rangers. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it was.
You know. Oh, go ahead, John. I thought you were gonna. Oh no, sorry. No, that's my
fault.
Ahead. So Chico, looking at the team, you know, we're talking about if they're going to make any upgrades defensively. You know, talking about the goaltenders, and you know, you have a lot of situations where you said earlier that you believe that Mackenzie Blackwood is going to be traded. Kier Schmidt and Vitek Vanacek are more than likely going to be the 1A, 1B situation. And you also have Nico Dawes, who showed flashes last year of potential, and I forget his first name, but I think it's Tyler Brennan. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Who's another really outstanding goaltending prospect in the system. Now, do you foresee if they do trade Blackwood? Do you foresee them trying to go after anybody like a Connor Hellebuck or anything like that, or do they stick with the tandem of Vanacek and Schmidt?
Oh yeah, I mean, I saw that. Okay, Hellebuck. Don't get me wrong. I've done my research. How did they do in the first round? Did they get through the first round?
Good point.
No, I'm just
They
saying.
did not.
No, it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Here's what I don't want. We were just talking about team, not a collection of stars, right? I mean, we have got to endorse and massage and coddle the guys that we have. We have got to make them feel so much like a team that can win it. And I mean, Schmidt came in and played well, and Vitek played okay. I mean, Carolina's they switched goalies already. So was their goaltending better than ours? I don't think so. My point is, I am happy with the goalie situation. Where I would sooner spend money would be on a couple of the key positions, either a winger. We need. I'd love to get like Kachuk is, because the game's gotten softer. Let's be honest, but that's fine. My wife loves the game. It's fast and it's skilled, but it's not, which is fine. But I would like to see, even this year with Nico and Jack. If I said to you, who is their go-to wingers? It's not like two like Kreider, Zibanejad. You just knew they were always going to come back together. That's what I'm saying. I would like us to get a bigger, more powerful, and Myers is that. I tell you, Myers is going to be just fine. And then if Palat, I don't know. Palat played third line a lot with Tampa Bay, and he was truly effective. Is he a first liner? But I think both Nico and Jack, I just want to see just one more guy. One guy on their line that they really mesh with. And then you can interchange the other side. But I just seen over the history that those centermen need a go-to winger. And I think somebody with some size. So I would sooner spend our money on getting a skater rather than a goalie right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. And I wanted to ask you with our, with the RFAs that we have, and they have to make decisions. Is there anyone you think that the Devils should focus on keeping versus trading, or is there someone specific that you think we can trade? And because we know this team's going to look different come September when training camp opens. Is there anyone you think you could see moving, or
let me ask you guys.
I don't know.
Okay, that's a great question. Okay, you want to have a couple older guys, but you got Eric Holla. I think he's 31 or 32. Then you've got Thomas Tatar. You've got Igor Sharangovich, Jesper Boquist. Who am I missing? Well,
Mikey
let's see.
McLeod's an RFA.
Yeah, Mikey, you want to sign because he could do so many things, and I like him. I like Bastian. Miles Wood, I don't know what Miles is going to ask. I still think there's more in Miles Wood, but I know he was injured a little bit, and I don't know what he's asking. But of those four guys that I mentioned, let's just categorize who do you think next year can come back and make the biggest impact? Holla, Tatar, Sharangovich, Boquist.
Holla.
Who do you guys? Okay.
Holla, just because, and I feel like Holla really earned a lot of respect from the fans, but in the playoffs and his play and just how he stepped it up. But at the end of the year, Jack Hughes had a really interesting quote where he was speaking very, very highly of Eric Holla. And if somebody like Jack is speaking very highly of a player, I think it bodes well for the higher ups to bring him back, or at least look into bringing him back. And especially towards the end, he really meshed well. Palat, Holla, and Hughes is a great line towards the end of the year and in the playoffs as well.
I agree. Okay, so we bring back Holla. Okay, what about those other three? You got Tatar, Boquist, and Sharon Govich.
I don't know, John. What do you think?
I think Tatar was a little bit better than the other two, than Sharon Govich and Boquist. I think Tatar was a little bit more consistent, even though the three of them were at times, their scoring dried up. But I think Tatar towards the end of the season really started to light it up and become more valuable than the other two.
I agree. Now here's what you have, and then we're not even talking about Alexander Holtz. We'll get to him in a minute. But here's what if say we're all GMs, we're a team here at GM. Okay, you got to say, okay, does Sharon Govich or does Boquist, are they really going to have a bona fide spot on the Devils that are where they're going to be difference makers? And I like them both. I'm not saying I don't like them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying tough decisions are you can't keep everybody and keep adding. So would you guys say that those guys then maybe you at least explore the younger guys? Because the older guys, you're not going to get anything for them unless somebody just wants to get rid of somebody off their team, and they'll take an older guy just to do the deal. But would you guys be okay with trading those two guys, Boquist and Sharon Govich, if you could get something?
I would, and I hate to say it because I do like both of them, and I feel like there's potential, especially Sharon Govich really flashes. There's times where you look at him and you're like, wow, he could even be a top 6 forward, and then he just kind of disappears. He has a great two-way game. He's out there for the PK. He does eat up a lot of really valuable minutes. If anybody between the two, Boquist and Sharon Govich, I would bring Sharon Govich back, but if we had to trade them or if we had to package them up into a deal to get somebody that's going to be more of a bona fide, winger or somebody that's going to be a little bit more reliable, I would definitely do that.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, I would agree if we were able to move him and bring someone in. I thought whenever they put Boquist into the lineup, he seemed to make an impact, but he wasn't obviously playing consistent enough to be in the lineup every single night. But it seemed like when he got in, he was showing up, somewhere on the score sheet, whether he was able to pop one home or occasionally, or maybe at least build up to a goal, maybe get an assist. But again, both those players I feel like are very similar to where they've got flashes of such potential, but they're just not showing it in a consistent way in order to be in the lineup, which obviously the coaching staff is making that decision to leave them aside for some games versus keeping them in. They're not guys that have to, they're guys that have to earn their spot versus guys that are going to be in that lineup.
That's a good point. Yeah, no, I think you're right. And when you're a GM, you're always saying, okay, like they, how you guys know how time flies and how we all get old so quickly, even hockey players. You've got to say, are these guys going to be everyday players where they're going to make an impact? You talked about top 6, but you got to keep Palat, you got to keep Meyer, right? And Hughes and Nico Hischier. You don't know on the other side. I mean, let's be honest, you guys. The one unknown, the one thing that we wish was developing more, and I said that to Fitzy, this spring. I said, Fitzy, congratulations. It's really been a terrific year. But he knows that things really fell in place too. Let's be honest. Everything went right except one player hasn't made the jump that we would like him to be, and that's Alexander Holtz. And the right-handed shot that we thought would. So to me, and I got to be honest, I saw him up here a little bit, but he sat a long time. I didn't quite understand that. That was like sat a long time. But but he's the guy that I don't know. But if he's not going to come through, then we got a hole. If he comes through, then we're golden. But I don't know if he's going to come through or not. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the one player that you always hope to make that jump because you could see the potential. And when they drafted him, I know all of us here and a lot of fans out there went crazy because we were like, wow, we got this guy. He's going to be the next big, offensive weapon for this team. It's just like any other draft prospect. It's always it's a gamble because you might find a guy in the first round that could be a bust, or you could find a guy in the sixth round that could be a superstar. But I feel like he's got that potential enough where I wonder if they, in the beginning of the year, brought him up and then just really fed him some heavy minutes and really gave it to him and basically told him, like, this is your do or die. And just kind of put it out there, like, you have to perform or either, we'll give you the Jonathan Drouin treatment and ship you around or send you back to the AHL to have a professional AHL career.
That's a good point. Those are exactly the options. Now, I know it was only a couple of years, so you guys have seen it, and I don't know why some players, it clicks in at 22, 21 even, but 22, 23, some take all of a sudden 24 and they're lights out. I don't know Alexander. I know he's a conscientious kid and stuff. I don't know his makeup, but I think the very bottom line is, Alex, next year we'll have given you 3 years. You've got to find a niche, but now where's that niche going to be? Could be I don't know. I would like to see him make it, but that's the other consideration when we're talking about trades and what you're going to do this summer. They had guys watching Utica a lot, evaluating. I wasn't privy to that, so I don't know what they think, but he can't. We can't wait. You can't wait too much longer, for him. It's got to be like next year. I'll give you one more year, but you got to come through. Because you know why? Because the cup's up there. The Silver Cup will be up every year, and I think it's exciting because you don't know who's going to win it. I mean, even this year it's up in the air, and next year, okay, Boston, yeah, they had a great year and all. The coach, coach of the year probably. But they're older, and did that window start to close on them? I don't know. But for us in Jersey land, I mean, I could see us winning the Cup sooner than I thought. I mean, I thought, like, the last group of great players we had, it took a while to build that. But in today's hockey, everything falls into place in the playoffs. You can like look at Florida. No one would have dreamt that the Florida Panthers would be up 2-0 in the semifinals, could go to the finals and win it. Who would have thought that? So, but that's what the NHL is all about now. So that's why we need guys like Alexander Holtz to not be busts and to come through for us in the franchise. So we will see, but I wouldn't wait too long.
No, totally agree. And Chico, before we close out, on a non-hockey but sort of hockey-related thing, the parody video you did of "Take on Me" this year,
yeah,
that was one of my favorite things to see whenever I went to a game. Was making sure I caught that. Your performance in that and just that whole idea was just fantastic. I give you a lot of credit for going along with it. I mean, it was phenomenal, and I absolutely loved it.
Well, thank you. And the gentleman who is in charge of that, here's how it happened. They called me and said they wanted to do this video. And what it does, all the pro teams have meetings, maybe not baseball because they're playing in the summer, right? They get together and they have these meetings. And each team offers a video that they've made. They pick their best video. So I get a call that we're going to make this video. And I knew, because my dad came from Norway back in 1910. He took the boat over from Norway and, was a farmer and stuff. So I like Norwegian bands. So then I start listening to that, and I kind of remembered it because I was still playing when that was first out, and I really liked it. And then we started. I said, "This is what we're going to do." So we go there and we put our heads together, and we're doing it. Like, it was my idea to align the guys chasing me with the hockey sticks and the gloves and whatever. So it was kind of an ad-libbing thing. But Joe, who's in charge of it, I've got to thank him now. He would only play it when we won at the end. I thought, thank you, because when we're losing, no one's in the mood to see that video or any other. We're just mad. So, but thank you for those kind words. It was fun, and because I like the tune, I just wish we could have heard it a few more as we went along in the playoffs. But I don't know what their plans are. Hey, I got to ask you guys something. I know we got to get going. Have you guys, and trust me, I have my feelings. You guys have your feelings. Have you been watching like ESPN and then TNT? Not so much the games, but the panels. Have the panelists, have they really upgraded? Are they like too much, or what do you think of that?
I feel like they've done a great job, but I have to tell you, PK Subban, I love him. I love him so much because during that first series against the Rangers, it was, the national media, and I don't know, we talked about it heavily, but even the broadcasts, if we weren't privy to be able to listen to you or the MSG crew, we had to listen to the ESPN or TNT. And it was at times very, 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 very biased against or towards the Rangers. And so PK was like a breath of fresh air every time he came on because, came out wearing the robe that they gave him, wearing the Devil's shoes, like really, like he giving it to Mark Messier. I mean, it was the best part of that first series in that aspect. But I have to tell you the truth. And I'm not pandering towards you, but my favorite thing is to listen to you and Matt during the game. There's sometimes where it actually turned the volume off of the TV broadcast and turn you guys up just to be able to listen to you guys talk. And I always appreciate your analyst and just what both you and Matt do such a wonderful job.
Well, that's very kind, and thank you. And I know that that whole thing has changed the way they're. I got to tell you, PK Subban's dad, who's a school teacher, he's in the education system in Toronto, came out a couple days ago. Maybe you saw it, and I'll give you guys a little bit of an inside scoop here before we go. Okay, so sports betting is out of control. To me, it's out of control. It's way too much, and celebrities who have retired are doing the sales of that particular part of hockey or sports. And I'm thinking they're not saying, but listen, you guys, the people want to make money, the sporting companies, so you're probably not going to win. You're going to win once in a while, but they have to make money. Anyway, PK Subban's dad came out just in the last couple of days, was on a talk show, and he says, I love Wayne Gretzky, and he mentioned a couple other guys, but he said, those guys doing sports betting advertisement, he says, I'm not in favor of that. They should not let those guys do it. And so I'll just tell you, a referee, he's a supervisor. I won't tell you who it is because it was kind of confidential. So I see him at Carolina. And I said, we were just talking, and I said, refereeing's tougher than it's ever been. They're giving penalties. Oh, well, like last night, I don't know, Kachuk scored on a power play. I didn't see the penalty that Kotkaniemi got. But anyway, I just said, it's got to be tough. And then I said, but I would happen to think with the betting lines, you guys are really under the gun because, betting lines are over and under or how much you're going to win by. He says, Chico, it's the number one thing that has put tremendous pressure on the referees, and I know these guys don't mean it, but you always hear about death threats. It's overrated.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, I'll just tell you, the referees have gotten more death threats this year because they said, "Hey, you cost me 10 grand. You cost me 20 grand. You call that penalty. I know where your wife lives." And I said, "Really?" He said, "Oh yeah." So that's another side of it, but I'm not into sports betting. I don't like it. I'll tell you guys straight up. I love sports. It's my one chance to escape, like you guys. No politics. Don't give me. I'm not an activist. Like PK was great. He says, don't force hockey players or athletes to be activists. They're just let them be sports people, and let us get lost for those 3 hours in just a athletic game. Nothing else. That's all I want. And so I thought that was pretty gutsy of PK Subban's dad, and I only brought that up because you were mentioning PK, but that's another side to the whole, hockey thing. But hockey, it is so popular, you guys. You see the money that ESPN paid and the money they're spending. You know the revenues there, the corporate sales, the advertising, the viewership.
Oh, yeah.
So we're part of a good thing here, boys. We really are.
Oh, yeah.
Fans listening. Yep. That's all I have to say.
Well, Chico, it's been an absolute honor to have you, and thank you so much for coming on with us tonight.
Well, you guys are always easy and nice, and what's the name of this podcast?
The Let's Go Devils podcast.
There you go, and that's what we all are hoping for, right? So we got something really good in common with each other. So thank you for having me, guys, and you guys have a good summer, and maybe we'll do this again sometime.
Great.
Sounds great.
Thanks, Chico.
That sounds great.
Thanks, gentlemen. See ya.
Thanks, Chico. That is Chico Resch. Fan favorite. Good friend of the podcast. Coming on.
Legend.
Favorite. Yeah,
Legend.
Not just a fan favorite, podcast favorite. We love talking to Chico.
Joseph Lenham, Super Chat. Chico on was the best right now. More Chico. I want Chico all the time. I'm telling you.
Seriously.
He's a great guy. I mean, behind the scenes, just volunteer. Just the amount of time he's given us, the podcast, coming out on the big stage, not once but twice. And and signing
going to American
autographs.
Whiskey in the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
That's right. Started off with him. Yeah, we started with him. We ended with him. It's he's just such a good
Very
friend
apropos.
of the podcast. Yeah, but he's just a good guy too. He's just a good human being, and he's willing to give us his time, which we're really lucky about. And not only does he give us his time, but he gives all the listeners and people watching his time as well by.
Yeah, and he's an original devil as well. Just original devil, which is just him being an original devil and just been there from the start and just being just an ambassador and a promoter and then him coming on to this podcast. So once he it was actually through Bruce Driver. Bruce Driver actually
That's right.
Introduced once we had Bruce on that one time. And, and the word gets around. And, I mean, our latest alumni was out of nowhere because of Chico. Randy McKay suddenly shows up on the big stage out of nowhere.
Although, there's one thing that I forgot to ask Chico, that Akira Schmid accomplished something that only a handful of goaltenders in the NHL history have ever accomplished as a rookie goaltender, winning your first 3 games in the playoffs or making your first 3 playoffs appearances and winning all 3. And the other person that shares that accomplishment was Chico Resch. So, and I believe he came into a series that they were down 3-0 and they came back and won that series. And he won the first 4, actually. And then they went down 3-0 in the next series and almost came back, but then ended up losing.
That's pretty cool,
dude. Yeah, and so it's and his insight is really cool. Even that last little tidbit about the referee. I mean, that's such a cool. It's a cool little thing, a little behind the curtain, a little peel back the scenes thing, because that's something that none of us would ever find out or ever know, and it's something that he entrusted us to kind of stay out on the waves, and we appreciate that because that's a really big thing. And there's a lot of times that we don't think about how sports gambling impacts the game. And yeah, the ref, like we talked about how much the refs have been really tough. Like the officiating in the Stanley Cup playoffs this year has been really suspect at points. And you don't really bring that into account a lot of times, that there's a lot of pressure on these guys, especially coming from that sports gambling aspect.
So had I known, I would have kept my mouth shut a little bit more about the officiating in the playoffs. Not me.
No, nobody would have. No, you would have said the same thing.
The stuff I was saying was in the sports betting world, you gotta I was actually accusing the refs of actually, that's
okay.
Yeah, that's what.
Okay. Now I see what you're saying. Yeah,
I would have kept my mouth shut about that because you don't. I mean, to get threats on your family that have nothing.
Yeah, that's just unneeded.
Yeah.
Stuff like that's just unneeded.
You lost 10,000 because you suck at
You're
betting.
a degenerate.
You're
a degenerate because you're a moron and you put 10,000 on a sports
bet.
game.
Yeah.
Well,
you might as well buy Doge at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take investment advice from me. Buy Doge.
Buy Doge.
One thing I wanted to say.
I hear it's up.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to say when Chico was asking about the ESPN and TNT was that if you've ever noticed, when Gretzky's on the panel, everybody's nervous. When he's not on the panel, everybody's themselves.
Well, you know what I think that is because he is who he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't care who you are as a hockey player. Like, it's still the greatest hockey player, one of the greatest hockey players to ever live. And I mean, especially at this point in his life, like Gordie Howe at the end of towards the later half of his life, Gordie Howe was a legend when he played, but he was a god even more so the older he got. And guys would revere, talking to him or speaking to him, and then you just sit there and kind of like bask in the glory of, the stories that he would bring to the table. It's same thing with Gretz. I mean, like, shoot, if we had him on the podcast, I don't think I'd be able to get a word out. And it's not like he ever played for the Devils, but it's still, he is the great one. You know what I mean?
Like, we should reach out.
We should. Why not?
Let's bury this whole Mickey Mouse thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we'll bridge that gap.
Rest.
Yeah,
put it to rest.
He's the only only legend that gets booed in New Jersey. Just because of that.
Pretty much. Oh, he did wear a Ranger jersey too, so that doesn't really help your cause in New Jersey.
Not at all. And then I loved playing at Madison Square Garden. It's my favorite place to ever play. You don't think people in Edmonton wanted to hear that, or L.A.?
Yeah. Well,
either way. So, are we at the final thoughts segment of our podcast?
Yeah, I think we might be.
I think we are.
Yeah, because we're going long tonight.
We definitely did. I guess I'll start us off, boys. I'll just say my final thoughts are: I want to see every single game in the Eastern and Western Conference Finals go into overtime, just because it'd be fun. And even though our team's out, and I hate it, and it was bitter at the very beginning, I have to say, what's up to Chris Mortensen? We have a Canes fan that's listening to the podcast right now. Hey, man, good luck to your team. It's a crazy, crazy series. Let's see it go all 7, because that would be pretty badass to watch that series go to 7, because I think it's a really, really good a good series. So good luck to you boys, and hey, let's go watch some hockey, boys. Let's go. Let's keep it going.
Yeah, I gotta agree. Actually, with all the remaining series, for them to go 7 games, I think would be fantastic. Let's squeeze as much hockey as we can out of the rest of the season.
Yeah, dude.
It's definitely in the whatever it is week or so that it's been since the Devils were eliminated. It's one of those things where you can kind of take a step back and be like, wow, this is a really damn good season. And I hated to see us go out the way we did, but you know what? It's one of those things where this is the type of season where we lose in the playoffs like this, and that could actually propel us forward and do us more good in the long run. Short term it sucks, but in the long run, a loss like this or going out in the second round like this can long term be much more beneficial to us than anything else. So that's my hope for that. And before I finish up, I just want to do a shout out to my buddy Anthony Willie, who I saw last Saturday, and we were talking about the podcast. He's a real big fan of the podcast, so I've known him since high school. So Anthony, what's up? Hopefully I get to see you soon at another show.
Heck yeah, and a big thank you to Chico too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we're blessed here on the podcast that we can have a Chico Resch come on during the off season, kind of give us his thoughts, recapping the season and all. We're blessed that you, the listeners, are still listening, and we're still adding on new subscribers to this podcast. We're spending there is no off season with the Let's Go Devils podcast, but I can assure you, Shortsky and I were talking before on the podcast, kind of the new things that we're going to be doing next season at American Whiskey and beyond.
It's gonna be a good time.
And
confetti cannons.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a mess. It's gonna be a good time.
I'll be riding a horse to the stage before I get on, playing a trumpet. The most overplayed song now, ever since Edwin Diaz made it great.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But I want to thank you, the fans, and all. Just one final thought. I'll tell you, for the Devils' kind of first run as a group in the playoffs together.
As this group, yeah.
Yeah, as this group in the playoffs. Job well done. I mean, again, you could see why Florida got to where they are. They play with such an attitude where they don't care if you're Boston or Carolina. They're just going to get right in your face. And there's a lot to learn because the playoffs is just so different from the regular season. And I hope that when Tom Fitzgerald, when he makes his moves during the offseason, I hope he can put
brings Brady Tkachuk.
Can you imagine?
That would be nice, but yeah.
He gets Hellebuck for a 6-rounder,
No,
Yeah, okay.
I would
Good
take.
luck, yeah.
I'll take Brady Chuck for Bratt, Holtz, Blackwood.
Dumpster
See, that's the thing,
Walsh.
though. That's the thing, though. We have.
I gave him three good pieces.
We have assets to move, and that's a great thing. We're not starved for assets to where we need to bring people in. Like we can move players and we can make additions. We're not just trying to gobble players up to get better. Like we have players we can move, and it's just a great place to be in for the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah, definitely. Future is bright after all those years of losing, but those days are over now. Want to thank Chico Resch again for coming on to this podcast. We'll have him on again before the season starts.
Oh, absolutely.
And thank you guys. Scotty, if you're out there, we miss you. I know you're doing something tonight. I don't know.
Having a good time.
Yeah, having a good time.
He's having a good time.
Yeah. He's like, out of all the nights that we have Chico, has to be tonight. Yep.
He knew about it.
He knew. We discussed this last week.
Yeah.
We knew.
It was his choice to go.
We had meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had talks.
Anyway.
Sure.
Morning Woo tomorrow. Morning around 6:30 a.m. Yeah. The Morning Woo. Back in action. Thanks, everybody. Till next time, let's go Devils.